morning. So for one, you might notice that I'm not Michelle Firestone. I am Alicia, and I'm going to be your worship associate today. We are very pleased to have someone who has never been in our pulpit before, who is Jeff Dorson, and he is the founder of the Humane Society of Louisiana. Who are we as a community church? We are a progressive, open-minded, and inclusive religious community. We welcome all who are on a spiritual search for truth and meaning. Ours is faith in action as we do the work of social justice and elevate compassion in our quest to live ethically, recognizing the inherent worth and dignity of every being. You can look to your weekly email for announcements, and Jim has an announcement as well.
Good morning. Morning. Members of First Unitarian Church and Community Church have been meeting about once a month to discuss how we can support one another, possibly collaborate. This afternoon, that meeting will take place at First Church at 2 p.m., and you're welcome to join in.
If you would like to join me in reading our land acknowledgement, it is printed at the back of our program. We acknowledge and pay tribute to the original inhabitants of this land. The city of New Orleans is a continuation of an indigenous area on the Mississippi River, known for thousands of years. Tribes that have lived on this land include the Cayuga, the Natchez, Choctaw, Chitimacha, Ohlone, Tunica, Biloxi, Atacama, and Choctaw, among others. We recognize that as a result of broken treaties and involuntary removals, Native Americans were often forced from their lands. We remember and we give respect to the communities that recognize actions. Native peoples have lived on this land since time immemorial, and the resilient voices of Native Americans remain an inseparable part of our local culture. With gratitude and honor, we acknowledge the indigenous nations that have lived and continue to thrive here. Let us now prepare for worship with our chalice lighting. It is Community Church's custom to light a chalice, invoking hope and eternal truth to our worship. Please join us in singing "We Light This Flame" with the words printed in your order of service. We are instead singing our wonderful principal songs until we get to know it really well. And some of you were taking pictures earlier, which is wonderful, but we are here. And y'all ready to go?
Now is our sacred time of joys and sorrows. If you have a need to share with this community, whether it be expressing something that weighs heavy on your heart these days, or letting us know what reason there is to celebrate, you can fill out one of the cards, which is in the lobby, which our greeters have. You can write in the chat box if you are online, or there will be time for you to come up to the microphone after a musical interlude if you wish to share. You may remain seated for our next hymn, which is 173 in the branches of the forest. So Jim writes, a joy that Michelle Firestone is recovering from COVID, and a joy that sunshine has returned. Absolutely. Is there anyone else who has joy or sorrow, Elise?
From up there? Okay.
From up there.
Okay. Sort of specifically because of the topic of the gentleman who is here. About 4 years ago, I was diagnosed with cancer, and I needed a puppy fix. I didn't need a dog. I wanted a dog, but my partner had been saying no animals forever. I just needed to sit on the floor and have puppies piled all over me. So we went to the SPCA, and we came home with a 2-year-old black lab. Who, you know, there's some, okay, I rescued her, except that she rescued me. And she is a good part of the reason why I am still standing here in this church today. So you do good work for everybody. Thank you very much.
Yesterday, we had a memorial service up at St. Pius Church for a very old and dear friend of mine. The last time we had seen her was at her 100th birthday party, which is in last September. But anyway, she died a week ago Friday, and really lived she was one of those people who got the most out of her church that you could possibly get. I mean, when I come to this church, I feel that it makes me a better person. Well, she was a lifelong Roman Catholic, and toward her final years, she was blind in her right eye, and she had macular degeneration in her left eye, to where she had just a little pinpoint of vision, and that was enough that she could walk on the sidewalk in Lake Vista up to St. Pius just about every day and participate in the religion. And she was really just the most loving person you ever want to imagine. Her name was Janie Dew, and I'd just like to tell you what a wonderful person she was. I guess y'all don't know her, but she had a long and very beautiful life.
Is there anyone else who has something they would like to share?
This is very impromptu, but since we have someone from the Humane Society, I wanted to share. My husband and I got a dog. He brought it in the back bedroom and started beating it without my knowledge. For the first year that we had it, it was starting to bite me, and not him. And then it started to bite him and I for the next 15 and a half years. That we loved it and tried to balance it out. And he came up with the reason why it was biting us, that he beat it in private, and eventually told me. Then, after it died, he begged me for another dog. And I said, why? And he said, well, this dog will inevitably be the best dog we'd ever had. I said, if it starts biting me, I said, I just don't think I can handle it. And he said, let's just see what we can do. And so he kept begging and begging and begging. And finally I said, yes, we can if we bring it to beginner, intermediate, and advanced training while it's a puppy. And I said, of course, that you don't beat it. And he said, I'll never beat another dog again. And anyway, she's 13 years and 4 months now, basically, and she hasn't bitten us except play biting. And that was a continuation.
Is there anyone else who would like to share? So then we will light 2 more candles. One for the joys left unsaid, perhaps still waiting to be shared. And one for the sorrows left unsaid, perhaps that we cannot yet put words to. Know that we love you, and we hold you in our hearts. Our first reading is the Eagle Feather Prayer by Linda Hogan. I thank the eagle and old mother for this prayer. I sent to earth and sky and the sacred waters. I thank old mother and the golden eagle. They are the ones who taught me to pray with no words. They taught the part of me that is unnamed by anatomy books, and so I stand, facing you and the rest of creation, also with secret names. I send this prayer thanking those who risked their lives for clean, sweet water. And once again, there is the great silence of what happened to the buffalo. We love our horses. We love the dogs who helped us. We love the wilderness of buffalo herds. We are humans who love. With no words, just part of my named self, I hold this fan from old mother and the eagle. With all my strength, I send this prayer, so very silent. Our next hymn, and you may remain seated, is number 21, For the Beauty of the Earth.
Oh,
Our second reading is an excerpt from The Wolves, from The Radiant Lives of Animals, also by Linda Hogan. The day they arrived, I first saw the wolves from the window. They walked so silently into my life that the moment I saw the 5 ghostly presences pass through a storm of snow, I whispered the name, Wolf, as they passed by. I watched carefully and kept track of their direction. On this land, I am one of the animals, but I try to be one who cares for and maybe even knows the rest, where they are and what they may do. I watch over an adopted wild Mustang and horse, the daily deer herds, and even many wild plants. I care for the snakes as for the little fawn curled when tall grasses are green and new. This is the last remaining wildlife corridor in the region, so I note when the elk bugle, the time of day a certain fox crosses from one hill to the other, when crows see a predator and group together to send it away. I hope the wolves would remain away from any location that would become the crosshairs of their deaths. For many, the word wolf carries a dark and heavy meaning. 4 letters have made them into something other than what they are and how they resonate inside the mind of many humans. Traditional Native peoples, however, have lived with wolves and recently have even requested their return to reservations. For us, the word means cooperation, a natural connection with the lives of a forest, communication, and loyalty to others. A pack of wolves also bespeaks the health of water, trees, and survival for other animals. For millennia, observation in shared territories has taught us this. The wolf is given an earned measure of respect. Numerous stories exist about how the wolf helped and taught First Peoples. The wolf is considered a sacred animal. A star is named for it, a constellation. From our mythologies, beliefs, and stories, we learn to admire or to hate the same beautiful animals, although the hatred and fear are rarely founded in reality. Rarely do most see the true lives of wolves. Seldom do we see the animals stretched out, asleep, breathing, or at play with litter mates, a mother caring for her young. And perhaps because of this, we live once again in the midst of war against wolves, even those we've restored to the wilderness in order to bring back health to the environment. Because there are so many ways of envisioning the lives of these animals. For some, the word means to trap or to kill. It means an animal of danger or merely fur. A killer doesn't consider how quickly life can be taken, but how it is never brought back. The name of an animal that cries out for solitude summons these visions not anchored in truth. In that year of the wolves, one cold, windy day, in the deep silence of the snow, I was preparing to go to work. The dog barked and didn't stop. He was normally quiet, and yet I didn't pay enough attention until it was time to go out and freeze and feed the girls with icy hair on their equine faces. Carrying the grain buckets towards them, I saw a great spread of red blood across the snow where they stood. Quickly with fear, I removed my gloves and examined every richly furred inch of their winter coats, their sturdy legs, bare hands touching the warmth from top to bottom and back again. Both were safe and uninjured. They stood calm and comfortable, relaxed, and ate with great appreciation. The wind had blown strongly across the snow, leaving no tracks, no sign of struggle, but the blood was bright on the snow. I looked around to see where it might have come from. And through the whiteness of that day, I saw spots of color outside the fence, so I climbed between the wires. Through the wind, snow above my boots, I crossed the creek and up into the hill to the other side. There I found the deer remains, now nothing but fresh pink bones with many teeth marks. A little more blood and still no prints. The wind had swept white snow across itself. I knew it wasn't a mountain lion or the deer, or I knew it wasn't a mountain lion or the deer would have been dragged off to its place. It wouldn't have eaten the deer all at once. I wondered why the wolves had killed the deer and not the horses as ranchers might suspect, especially when the deer had much less meat. Since wolves can eat 25 pounds at once, the question passed through my mind. Having quickly eaten, they were gone. For a time, I saw nothing of them. I never heard that intriguing howl rise up an octave like a loon that must be related, at least by song. No one else sighted these wolves, but I would never forget their majestic presence after they journeyed on. They traveled a long distance from the Yellowstone fire to arrive at this place. But it was not long before one was killed by a car miles away on the highway. Suddenly, wolf presence created a flurry of excitement and scientific commotion with great surprise that they wandered so far from their original burned territory. I could have forgotten it. I could have forgotten about the wolves, but one spring night, sleeping with my windows open, strange noises woke me. It sounded like breaking. I didn't know if a large animal was walking through the trees or if it was a human intruder. Finally, I realized it came from across the creek where the bones of the deer had remained. I got up to shine my bright light in that direction, then turned it off as I realized it was the sound of biting on bones, a bear hungry out of winter sleep, eating the bones, breaking them open, and looking for anything still inside. I didn't turn on the light. Instead, I simply listened with a smile, knowing that all of us were here, and we are breathing the same mountain rarefied air.
Welcome, I'm Jeff Dorson, founder and director of the Humane Society of Louisiana. I grew up Unitarian back in the day, Bloomington, Indiana, so it's good to be back. 3 parts to my 10-minute talk. Why and how I got involved, the infrastructure in place to help animals, and what's next. So how I got involved, 1986, I'm a part-time tennis instructor in Minnesota, minding my own business. I go to the public library and absentmindedly pick up a brochure that has a raccoon in a leg hold trap. Do you know what a leg hold trap is? They're a horrible instrument, placed on the foot. They're legal in all 50 states and supported by each Wildlife and Fisheries Commission. I think they're torture. So I went home that night, and I was in my 30s. I never asked myself any important philosophical questions. I thought life was just having fun, and how big of a piece of the pie could I get? I thought that was it. And so for the first time in my life, I asked myself, well, if animals are suffering, what is my relationship to their suffering? And then part B is, what am I willing to do about their suffering? I never had those questions. I never wanted to. I just wanted to have fun. I was a little tennis instructor. What did it was up to somebody else. I couldn't. So I thought, well, maybe it is up to me. So I taught myself how to become a lobbyist. I thought we needed more laws. So I drove to St. Paul, Minnesota, not knowing anything about anything. I saw these professional lobbyists walking around. And they had little briefcases, so I bought a plastic briefcase. And I put my lunch in it. And I simply followed them, thinking, how does this work? And then they gave a little brochure at the state capitol of how a bill becomes law. And it was a little stick figure and all these, it was like a maze. But I had that moment where two things happened. I said, I could be that stick figure, and I can do this. So I taught myself how to lobby, and I got to be pretty good at it, and I passed a bill. So then I asked somebody, where can I make the most difference? Where are animals suffering the most? Oh, Louisiana. I said, Louisiana? I thought that was part of Spain. I had to look on the map. So I literally just moved here. At 1987, kind of like the motion picture where you see somebody at the bus station with their little bags and there's nobody around. That was me. So I started the Humane Society of Louisiana in 1988. Here's the infrastructure that confuses everybody. Anybody can start a Humane Society. The names aren't trademarked, and it's interchangeable with SPCA, Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals. The first one was started in 1886 in New York City by the ambassador to Russia under Lincoln. That's who first started everything. He went to London, to the Royal Society of Prevention of Cruelty to Animals, learned how they did it, came to New York and started the American SPCA, which is still in existence. They're the ones that have all the weepy TV commercials that want your money. That's what brings us to how this all works. There's national groups that don't share with the local groups. Then there are local groups, and then there's animal control. That's a government-funded agency that has usually low-level enforcement capabilities write a ticket for dogs barking, animals at large, no doghouse, they can get a citation here in town. Everything else is different in every parish. So let's review. Humane societies, nonprofit, there are charities. There are usually advocacy groups. There's rescue groups, breed specific, German Shepherd, Dachshunds, whatever. And then there's animal control, humane societies, SPCA, same thing, and then rescue. And then you have the national, then you have kind of our statewide, which is really only, I call it state because I want to cover more than the local area, and then rescue groups. So it's all a mishmash. So people always tell me, oh, I give to your group. You're the ones on TV, right? No. So give locally if you want. So that brings us now to the infrastructure. And you're going to be slightly shocked. Because most people, A, don't think about it, or if they do, they think it's handled. That some agency is going to handle it. You simply see something that's wrong and you simply call and it's handled. And I'm here to tell you that's not how it works. There's very little discussion at the government level of helping animals. There's very little funding, there's very little agreement that their suffering should be something we should consider. I'm going to read you a list and I'll tell you what the list represents. So most people, remember 64 parishes, we have the benefit of a lovely SPCA in Algiers. Big building, 11 million to build, 100 people staff, and they're doing a great job. So everybody thinks that that same building is in every 64 parishes. Wouldn't you think? I'm going to read you a list. Evangeline, Avoyelles, Bienville, LaSalle, Catahoula, St. James, St. Helena, Caldwell, Tensaw, Union, Franklin, Red River, East Feliciana is just some of the 33 parishes that do not provide parish-wide animal services and don't have a shelter. Try that. Try 33 parishes without police or fire or a hospital. Now that's a huge area that you can't call anybody to respond to an animal that's been hit by a car, that's been found, that's been lost, that you want to adopt, that you want to surrender. All those services are not provided. That's heartbreaking, ladies and gentlemen. Now, it's hard to sterilize your pet in those areas because the vets want $400 to $500 per surgery because it's higher than in the urban area. So what are you going to do? You're going to dump your puppies in the woods because there's no shelter to take them. And you're going to multiply that by 33 times. So we have hundreds of thousands of stray animals starving, thirsty, hit by cars, living in the woods or simply dying. And nobody, I promise you, until this conversation told you about that. So my heart, it just breaks every day. And that little choke is what keeps it's rough out there. So let's go now. The end of my talk is what are we doing about it? So I'm glad you're letting that sink in. 33 pairs without, and that's just companion animals. We're not even talking about horses, donkeys, cows, goats, exotics, reptiles. There's nothing. There is nothing. Do you know why? Because the conversation changes from in an urban setting of we care, we can fund this, it's important. The farther up north you go, the conversation changes from, well, we can't and we don't care. We can't and we don't care. We can't fund this. We can't possibly fund this. We're not going to try to fund it. We're not going to look for grants. We're not going to reach out to other groups to find out how they did it. We're not going to reach out to other parishes. We can't possibly ask people to pay money for these services. So we can't and we really don't care. Puppies are in the woods. They've been in the woods all for millennia. So my job is to try and shift the conversation, and it's a challenge. So we're going to the state government, as we've been doing, hence my lobbying skills, to convince the state government to give some of the surplus to these rural parishes. And we're getting closer, but it's still a challenge because this doesn't talk to them about, yes, we care, we'll take your money, yes, we'll build a shelter, yes, we'll provide services, yes, we care, because we still don't care. So that's the challenge, ladies and gentlemen. So what do you want to do about it? Join us. We're grassroots. It's just me and a handful of people every single day. We have 3 properties under management. We've come a long way. I have to give myself a little credit. 250 acres in Tylertown, Mississippi, wildlife preserve. We don't own it, but we manage it. We have people live there. 47 acres. We just paid the last note after 16 years. Horses and donkey rescue in Washington Parish. That's a big deal. 3rd piece of property, we have staff that live on 4 acres that pull animals from high-kill shelters and try and send them to no-kill transports up north. That has stopped because there's such a crisis with pet overpopulations. Adoptions are down, transports are down, more animals in the woods. And we just opened up a nice headquarters in Gretna. Come join us on Germany Street, next to the courthouse. Beautiful. We'll have an open house. You're all invited. So that's my summary. Caring works, caring helps, caring saves lives, and the opposite creates all sorts of problems. So, questions? That's okay. So I'm just leaving you with that. Caring helps. Caring saves lives. Caring chokes me up. Thank you.
It's now time for our offering. Community Church is a self-sustaining congregation. Members and friends' generosity help us do the sacred work of bringing justice, spirituality, and compassion to our community and beyond. You can give online at ccuunola.org/stewardship, or you could text the word GIVE to 504-370-2659. Or you can send us a check here, 6690 Fleur-de-Lis Drive, New Orleans, Louisiana. Our song during the offering is going to be hymn number 128, For All That Is Our Life.
Make our own
extinguish. We extinguish the chalice that it may not gently and on our souls. May it light your path as you leave this place. May it guide your way until you return there again. Our benediction is from Mary Oliver. Do you have time to linger for just a while out of your busy and very important day for the goldfinches that have gathered in a field of thistles for a musical battle to see who can sing the highest note or the lowest, or the most expressive of mirth or the most tender? Their strong, blunt beaks drink the air as they stride melodiously, not for your sake and not for mine, and not for the sake of winning, but for sheer delight and gratitude. Believe us, they say. It is a serious thing just to be alive on this fresh morning in this broken world. I beg of you, do not walk by without pausing to attend to this rather ridiculous performance. It could mean something. It could mean everything. It could be what Rilke meant when he wrote, "You must change your life." Please rise as you are willing and able for our closing hymn 203, All Creatures of Earth and Sky. Please join us next door for coffee. Not next door, like in the building. Coffee.